What a celebratory moment this is. Guys, welcome to, I don't know if you want to call it the Fattal Factor, just Fattal Factor. I'm so glad. This has been something I've been working on all summer, something fun and different and live. This is going right now from my house. I'm so excited that you guys are here. I see quite a few people viewing live. That's so awesome. And just thank you. A celebratory moment. And look, I don't know which direction this show's going to go. And I'm not talking about this particular show. I'm talking about as a whole. We're going to talk high school sports all year long. Of course, we got high school football coming in the next couple weeks. August 22nd is the first Friday. So we're getting off with a little bit of a preseason kind of vibe here. I think there's a thirst for high school football and high school sports in general. Can't forget there's girls volleyball too going on. I don't know how much of that we'll get into, but if there is a story to be told, I want to tell it. And I've been covering high school sports here in Southern California for 10 years. This is going to be my 11th year here doing this. Daily news, high school on SI, doing a little bit of TV. And I just have always been asked, hey, Tarek, why don't you do a podcast? Why don't you do a show? And I'm thinking, yeah, YouTube channel. All right, yeah, let's do it. Maybe this is the time to do it. So I thought, why not? And so I'm really appreciative to all the people that have been supporting. Thanks so much. This is the premiere. We got some fun stuff lined up for you. We aren't going to get too much into the weeds here, right? We're still in preseason. Not a whole lot of storylines to cover quite yet. And I don't know, later down, yes, Coach Shermer, yes, some girls flag football too, and you're right about the logo. I mean, look, if you look now, and throughout the show, there's some football in there, but you're right, I do have the basketball in there. That's where my heart is, but thanks for everybody for commenting as well. But listen, I don't know where this show's going to go. For all I know, this thing's going to be a clean show. There's not going to be any cussing on here or anything like that. Might I have a libation or two, depending on what's going on in October or deep into November? Yeah, the season's long. But nevertheless, the whole point of this is to have fun, keep it live, keep it casual. That's the point of this. And I think when things pop off, as they so often do, every high school sports season, football, hoops, whatever the case may be, baseball even, track and field, whatever looms, I want this to be a platform where we ask a coach or a player or an administrator, hey, get on the show. Let's talk. Let's ask the questions. Let's get down to the truth. And so if there's anybody ever, if chat or the audience wants to see someone on the show, this is what this is for. And I know we've been doing Twitter spaces every Friday night. We get like 300-400 people in there on a Friday night with my guy Aram Tolegian, which I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I feel like this is a good community, or this is a good space for that community to engage in a more live opportunity. So hey, we're here. We made it. The finish line, or excuse me, the start of the race has been started. The race has begun, as they say, and we'll see where the finish line ends up. But for right now, just so glad to get this thing off the ground. Okay, what we're going to do tonight, right? First show, I want to make sure there's no snafus. So if you can hear, like, if you say, hey, Tarek, we're hearing something random in the background, or hey, dude, there's an echo, I want you guys to let me know. But I think we're looking pretty clean right now. People are chatting, and I love that. So thank you for the engagement. So that's one. We want to get through the show clean. That's goal number one, right? Just get through the first show. Number two, we got Greg Biggins coming on. And Greg Biggins, if you don't know who Greg Biggins is, I've actually, in leading up to this episode, I've been asking basketball people, or even people that really aren't ingrained into the high school sports community, like, hey, you know who Greg Biggins is? They're like, yeah, oh yeah, I remember Greg Biggins. So we got a big, heavy hitter here on episode one, and I'm so glad he's going to join us. We're going to talk about how long he's been covering, not to age him, but Greg is a guy that every time I see him out on those sidelines, man, he's got a smile on his face, he's having fun, and what I love about him is he's always connecting with the kids, man. He has a heart for young people. So Greg Biggins, W's in the chat, or hand claps in the chat, whatever it may be for Greg Biggins coming on here in the next like 2-3 minutes. And then I got a breakfast burrito review that I did locally, so we'll run that too. Hey, maybe it gets you out getting a new breakfast burrito. So that's going to be weekly. We'll have a guest, a breakfast burrito to look at, maybe break it down. Then, of course, we have the Ask Aram segment. And Aram Tolegian has basically been a friend of mine for the past decade, and he is clued in and unfiltered, really, in a good way. And so Aram, to me, is the perfect, basically, co-host for this show, and he'll have his time on this show via Ask Aram every week. Then after that, to kind of tie in the back nine of this show, we're going to look at my preseason top 25, take a look at what that looks like. Hey, there might be some movement early. We might never see a team in there again. We might see some teams move up. And then the one kind of storyline I want to look at, and actually, Chris 4, if you're in here, I kind of use your, what I believe is called 8laces.org website. I'm looking at all those coaching changes, and I'm going to pick out, I want to say, a good 6 to 8 coaches that I think are worth mentioning this year, and not so much on a high level. Not so much, yeah, these guys are going to go win CIF championships, but there's going to be improvement at these programs and in these communities because of these gentlemen leading these young men. So that's going to be the show, and I think we're going to get straight to it. So thanks, everybody. I'm seeing subscriptions. Thank you so much, everybody, for subscribing and getting in here. Yeah, this is so much fun. So, hey, and glad to be sharing this journey. So let me click over here. Yep, he's ready to rock. So we'll get him going here in a second. My man, Greg Biggins. Hold on there, Greg. Let me just make sure I don't want to mess anything up as I'm clicking through stuff, because that's where things get a little scary on here when we're live. So stand by here. And then we're going to do this. Yep. And then we're going to get this up. Yep. Okay, so here we go. Give me a second here. There he is, Greg Biggins. Welcome to the Fattal Factor, my friend.
Hey, how you guys doing? Good to be on.
Yeah, man. So glad you're here, Greg. Thank you. You're a busy man, and one that everyone knows, man. And the first thing I want to ask you that I always think about when I'm out there, and it's quite something I actually take pride in, and I know you do too, because you're really this friendly, nice guy. Isn't it nice when you're out at football games, people tap you on the shoulder, they want to say hello to you, they want to get in your ear? You know, you're a very approachable guy, and you've been doing this for, you told me before the show started, 1995, so that's a long time. Just kind of talk about that community interaction, man, and how long you've been doing it. Clearly you love it.
So I'm hearing major feedback right now, so I'm going to do my best to answer whatever you asked.
Oh, man, okay.
Something to the effect of, do I enjoy it? Talking to people at games. Absolutely. You know, I've always prided myself on being approachable. I mean, it's high school football, right? Don't take it too seriously. Take the job serious, but never take myself too seriously. But, you know, I'm a huge fan, and you know, I'm a people person. Love going to games. Always time with it. And, no, it's pre-game tailgates. I never miss it. Sometimes that's better than the game itself. So I've got a good time out there.
Okay, I wonder if, is it possible that you've got the stream running on your computer or anything and you're kind of hearing yourself?
I'm hearing you, and I'm hearing you again 10 seconds later saying the same thing.
Ooh,
so.
Okay, I wonder if the stream is running somewhere else. Hey, someone in the chat, if there is like an echo, please let me know. But I think we're okay on my side. But we'll keep it going. Sorry if that's bothering you. I think we'll live as long as it's not bothering everybody else. I think we gotta keep going, Greg. I'm sorry. So Greg, I wanted to also ask you about some of the biggest changes in the past 30 years. I know with NIL and recruiting, the landscape has clearly changed. But not to get too much into the weeds, other than that, I'm not even. Yes, monetary things are involved, and maybe they always have been, really, but maybe it's less taboo. Can you maybe share what's the biggest change on the football field from the athlete you've been analyzing and prospecting, and so on and so forth for the past 30 years? What's the biggest difference in the football athlete now on Friday nights?
Well, if you're talking just football, which I again trying to piece together with what you're saying, you know, the game has kind of radically changed, I would say, on and off the field. And I don't know if it's for the better. Obviously, NIL is now huge. You know, I think last 5, 6, 7 years, we've seen a lot of the, you know, the fake non-committable offers, which have kind of radically changed. The mass transferring has kind of, you know, radically changed. When I was younger, you were younger, you played for your local high school, right? And that was a great time. Now you're seeing kids transferring 3 or 4 times. Um, I've always been a big proponent of multi-sport athleticism. You know, you watch the best football players and even the NFL. All those guys were multi-sport athletes. The big heavyweight wrestlers were football players. The guys that skill guys, running back, receiver, DBs, ran track, played baseball, basketball, volleyball. So you don't see that as much in Southern California. Again, you see a lot of, it's a big 7-on-7 thing. And I'll be honest, I go to a lot of 7-on-7 events because I have to, but I'm always trying to preach the gospel of yourself out of football, kind of clear your mind. I think it prevents brain fog. It prevents burnout. The big guys should be from the shot and discus. You should be wrestling. You should be doing other sports. So, I look across, I travel a lot. You go to Texas, you go to Florida, you go to Georgia. All those best football players are multi-sport guys. They may dabble a little bit in 7-on-7, but out here, I feel like some kids major on 7-on-7 and mine are in pass football, which to me is kind of wild, right? So, that's been one of the bigger changes. Again, after going back 10 years or even the last 5. And like I said, we could probably talk about NIL and what that's done, transfer portal, what that has done. Obviously, I think it's kind of hurt, from a high school football recruiting standpoint. Those last, you get 25 scholarships. The last 5 or 6 spots were always reserved for those, those, we call them projects, right? They're not maybe there yet, but they have a chance. Bring them in, develop them. Now, a college doesn't want to have to use those last 5 spots. They can go look at the portal. They can go watch college football where there's no guessing game. And no matter how good you are, and I've covered guys that were, ranked in the top 100 who bust. You never know. We're talking about a high school player. You're talking about the transfer portal. You're actually seeing a college player play and have success for 1 or 2 years. There's no guessing involved. He can play because he's already shown that. So those last 5 or 6 spots, now the elite of the best, they're still going to go ahead and get their spots. But, you're not seeing as many high school players sign over the last few years. It's because colleges don't want to take a chance on a guy. They don't want to risk it. They can get a sure thing in the transfer portal.
So let me ask you this. Does your job when it comes to ranking these players, right, giving them the stars, so on and so forth, does that make your job more challenging? Is there more weight now in those stars because a kid, like a certain amount of stars might make him less fringe?
Yeah, but I'll be honest, and I know it's a big part of the job, but I hate the whole star thing. It sounds crazy because that's kind of one of the things I do, but I feel like so many. It's kind of funny you mentioned earlier. And by the way, you sound great now, so this is a good thing. Now I can actually hear cool. Everything's good. Good. You mentioned, do I enjoy going to games and talking? I absolutely love it. But one thing that'll never change is I'll go to a player after a game, and I'll just say, hey, man, great job. I love the way you played. First question, will I get ranked higher now? Literally like 9 out of 10 times. You go talk to a parent before a game, and again, I'm there having a good time, and I'll have a beverage or whatever. But inevitably, the question always comes up, hey, will my son get rated higher? And again, for us, and I think the rankings and even like, everyone wanting to get a college scholarship, which that should be the dream, right? I understand it. But very few people I don't think other people understand how good you have to actually be to play college football at a high level. You're talking a very small percentage. And I think a lot of people think, hey, if you rank my son higher, he'll get a scholarship. And I've actually been accused multiple times. I've been blamed for their kid not going somewhere because if you would have rated my son higher, he would have gotten a scholarship from this school or this school or this school. And there's always going to be a little bit of correlation. But at the end of the day, if you're a college coach and you love a kid, you're going to offer him. And then for us, if we love a kid and he doesn't have a lot of offers, we'll still rank him high if we think he's got a chance to be a really good player at the next level. So again, you still see that. But, for me, I'm a fan of high school football. Yeah. Like I enjoy going to a high school football game and watching guys play and not worrying about, where these kids are rated or what the mom and dad are doing. But I feel like because there's this mass, we got to get rated, we got to get a scholarship offer. It's kind of almost like taking the joy out of high school football. And so that for me, that's a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah. No, I understand. There's more weight to it now. Couple more questions, and I think we'll get to the fun stuff. And that's, I was talking at Cali Live over the summer, basketball, and a gentleman named Tracy Pearson, been around a long time, basketball evaluator. And he kind of just wanted to add to, he just mentioned how for years, man, when he evaluates, families have gotten so upset with him because he's got families that have come after him about like that they feel like they're like the rating messes with their money even, you know, and I'm sure I'm sure without telling stories, you could probably relate to that aspect, the desperation and your job, and you're just being honest. You love high school football. You evaluate a kid for what you think he is, and it like has these waves to it, which seems so serious. And so that just leads me to the next question. How often when a kid comes to you and goes, you know, Mr. Biggins, or even a family, how often do you almost not even talk about what the kid needs to improve on? Do you often have to just tell parents and kids like, hey, make sure you're having fun? The rest will come. You know, how often do you have to have those conversations? That has nothing to do with even what's going on the field.
So I'm always very transparent. And I will tell the family straight up if they say, hey, what does my kid need to do? Why isn't he rated higher? Why isn't he getting offers? What do you think? And I'll always say, hey, do you want the Simon Cowell version, or do you want me to be nicer about it? And I'll always say, hey, give it to me straight, right? And I will tell them, I will say, hey, your kid is a really good high school football player. And there's so much good about that. Like, but in terms of a next level prospect, the best high school football players aren't always the best college football players. And you can go to Max Prep, look at the state stat leaders, and the guy who leads the state sacks, usually some sawed-off 5'10" nose guard, right? Or the guy who throws for the most touchdowns or rushes for the most touchdowns. Isn't always probably not a guy that we even know who they are. And just like in college football, the best guys who play college aren't always the best NFL prospects. So you just have to tell them and be straight up. And again, this is why I'm so big on multi-sport and being an athlete, because, you know, out here, again, going back to my old student sports Nike camp days, we travel the country and we do the combines and we test the kids. The players by far in each region of the country who would, number one, sit out the testing, or we allow them to scratch if they don't like their testing. It was always the Southern California kids. I'm not trying to beat up the SoCal kids because I'm a SoCal.
Hey, bring it on, man. I love it.
But no, you go to Texas or Florida or you know, some of those places in the South, dude, they don't care. They're ready to go, right?
Wow.
They're all ready to go. Out here, it's always like, what if I hurt my stock? What if I run a slow 40? What if I don't do well? What if I get beaten one-on-one? I'm like, dude, are you a football player, or do you want to be an athletic supporter? Just watch everybody else play football. It's always been like that out here. And so I've always said this. I said, hey, if you think you're a next level player, go watch college football and give me your player comp. Who does your son, or who do you remind yourself of? And the funny thing is, they'll always try to find the lowest common denominator. I remember one year there was 4 DBs who made the Pro Bowl. And there was this thread on Twitter. Of course, I get tagged in everything, right? And someone said, oh, look, you know, everyone talks about you need size to play DB, but there's 4 guys who are 5'10" who made the Pro Bowl. And I knew all 4 guys. 2 of them, one of them was a 25-foot long jumper in high school. 2 of them were sprinters. One of them was an all-state basketball player.
There you go.
They were 5'10", but at least 3 of them had like 32-inch arm and wingspans. So I'm going, hey, just because you're the same size as someone does not mean, number one, that you're the athlete that guy was. Number 2, he may be 5'10", but he's got a +5 wingspan. And number 3, he's actually a really good football player. You know, he ran a 4.5 and your kid runs a 5.5. So you're not the same. There's different levels to this. And again, I usually let it go. I let so much go, and it's not that important. But when I get tagged over and over and over again, and if I have time that day, I'll be like, okay, I'll play along.
Yeah.
It's like, your son's 5'10", he's 5'10", but you guys are playing different sports.
Yeah.
This guy's an elite athlete, all-state basketball, 25-foot long jump, and your kid just plays high school football, and that's going to be the end of it. And that's a great time playing high school football. That's the best time of your life, playing high school sports. And I just feel like so many guys were kind of missing out on that, because there's this rush to, I got to get offered. If I'm not, I got to go transfer to this different school, and they're going to get me a fake offer, and I got to go to this school, and they're going to get me an offer, and I'm going to end up going to Campbell. It's just like a bunch of different things that you see. So yeah, I still love it, but the times have changed in a lot of ways.
Campbell, aren't they the Camels?
They are. I didn't know that until a couple of years ago when I saw every kid in Southern California with a Campbell offer.
I saw that.
Not hating at all.
God, that's good. What a great throwback right there. Okay. Appreciate your time, Greg. So now we'll get to a little bit of the fun stuff. I think the viewers will appreciate this. So guys, Greg has been doing this since 1995, works for 247 Sports, is one of the best evaluators in the country. I mean, if not the best. I know you got teammates and those guys are good at what they do too. But out west for sure, it is GB. So I asked him, hey man, who are some of the best prospects you have evaluated? And the names on his list are outstanding. So before I get going, Greg, I just want to make sure you can see this. It's paused, but you can see this.
Looks like Tustin High School.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right.
Back
Good.
in the day.
So,
Yeah.
First on your list was Deshaun Foster. Go ahead as the.
And let me just say, this was in a ranked list, and also I wanted to go SoCal, Southern California, right? I've seen Adrian Peterson and Myles Garrett and Vincent Young, but I wanted to keep it Southern California.
Yeah, I love that.
And also, I got to make sure I understand. Like, this isn't based on the best high school player, because that'd be like a Matt Grudegood, right? Like guys like that who are just great high school. These are more guys that you watch them in high school, and you say, okay, this guy will play in the NFL someday. And so for me, Deshaun Foster, Santa Margarita. It's funny, 2 of my top 5 guys were in this game right here. I know everyone says I was at that game, but I actually was at that game. Kind of a funny backstory. The year before, Santa Margarita beat Tustin pretty badly. This was going to be the Fox game of the week, and Tustin declined because they thought, oh, we got smoked last year. It ended up being probably one of the 2 or 3 best high school football games I've ever seen. But Deshaun Foster, you talk about traits, right? And again, not talking high school. We're talking about what you need to do to be a good college at the NFL. It's about traits. It's about projection. Deshaun, as a high school guy, was 6'1". He was 210. He was fast. He was a 10-7 sprinter. He was physical. He was smart. He had instincts. He played 2 ways. He played receiver. He played running back, obviously. We're really good corner safety as well. And he competed like you would not believe. And in this game, he probably got the ball 40 times. And I think he scored 5
6 touchdowns.
Yeah. One of the best performances that I've ever seen. But if you literally, you call it again, cliche time, but you call it a box checker. There was not really, I could find a weakness in almost any high school football player. But look at Deshaun as a high school football player and what a great running back has to have, right? Vision, contact balance, physicality, long speed, short area burst. Deshaun had every single check box that you want to see. And like I said, really special talent.
As we know, Deshaun Foster went on to play at UCLA, is now the UCLA coach. I want to say most of his NFL time, Carolina Panthers. Does that sound right? Might have jumped around a little bit and had a cup of Gatorade with some other teams, but I remember him, man. I remember him because I was an SC fan growing up, and that's why I'm kind of excited about one of your other names down the line who's now back in Southern California, so to speak. But but Deshaun Foster for Greg Biggins. Okay, the next name you gave me was Deshaun Jackson. Now, this is like a whole different kind of athlete, so go for it.
So probably the single best high school performance I've ever seen in one day was Deshaun Jackson. And again, one day we were doing a Nike 7-on-7 tournament at USC, and Long Beach Poly beat Hart High School in the final. That same day was an area code baseball tryout, which Deshaun tried out for, and he made the team. That same night, again on the USC campus, there was like a Ludacris concert, and then there was like this fastest 40. We did like this big old fastest 40 competition, and he came in second place. It's killing me that I can't remember the guy he lost to, but it ended up being a track guy. He went to USC, but in one day, you saw him win MVP of the 7-on-7 tournament against Hart. No one beat Hart back in the day in 7-on-7, right? Area code baseball, played for the Brewers, and he was a legitimate MLB guy. And then that same night, came in second place, ran like a 4.32, some ridiculous 40 time. Again, talk about just being special, talk about the traits. Maybe one of the best deep ball catchers of all time. You're talking the NFL. But he was actually an exceptional corner also. He didn't play a ton of defense, but when he did, he was exceptional. But his speed was different. You talk about guys that have kind of like that game-breaking speed, and then there was Deshaun Jackson's speed. Whoever the fastest guy was, he was always a little bit faster than that guy was. After the catch ability, and for me, you watch a receiver, everybody can catch the ball and get tackled. For me, what do you have that's special? Can you make 3 or 4 guys miss? Can you stretch the field? You got a little bit of wiggle, a little bit of juice after the catch. Also, Deshaun, underrated in terms of a route runner and his hands. Very natural, didn't fight the ball. So he was a undersized guy, but it didn't matter because he was so good in every other area that being 5'10" and like a $160, he was still exceptional.
And in baseball, he played center field?
Yep.
Yeah, man. Terrific. Okay, the next guy, and I have a feeling an ad's going to run here, but none other than Heisman Trophy winner Carson Palmer.
Yeah, we called him the robo quarterback because he was so, again, Bob Johnson disciple right there, and the drops, the ball, the release, everything.
Yeah, kind of far back, right? Like slightly. I don't know if you would call it unorthodox, but I remember kind of a long pause right before he gun it a little bit.
He got a little bit tighter with it, but another guy who, again, quarterback, but he was a really good basketball player at Santa Margarita, multi-sport guy. I'll keep preaching that gospel. And it was kind of fun. The first event I ever went to in my life was a Reebok Combine. This was on the UCLA campus. And going to that event, everyone talked about this guy named Jason Thomas, who played at Dominguez and also played basketball with Tayshaun Prince, Kenny Bruner. But I kept saying, hey, Jason Thomas, the best quarterback. And I kept watching this other guy, Carson. And I go, like, look, I don't know anything. I'm just here. It's like my first day. I'm an intern. But this guy over here looks like he's still throwing the ball a little bit differently. Like, the ball's coming out of his hand. Like, I don't usually have ever seen this thing before, right? It's coming out hot. And perfect spirals. And then he went on, obviously, to have a great career at USC and the first-round pick in the draft. And now he's coaching. But as a high school quarterback, again, and you're watching him, he was tough, very competitive, underrated athletically. But he threw the ball like an NFL guy as a high school quarterback and had an NFL frame as a 17-year-old. So loved watching Carson.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously, for those that don't know, he is back coaching in Southern California. He is back at his old stomping grounds in his first year at Santa Margarita as the head football coach. Love this one you gave me. So Tyron Smith, Moreno Valley, I mean, you're talking about a big fella. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like, and I feel like when it comes to evaluating big guys like this, there's more than just, oh my gosh, he's a behemoth. There's more to it, right?
Yeah, no. So again, not to sound funny, so size doesn't matter as much because everyone's big, right? So the first thing that we look for is we look for athleticism more than anything else. Because at the next level, you look at a media guide and everyone's 6'6" and 300 pounds. So I remember his old coach, Pete Duffy, who I still talk to, at the time of the Nike camps, we didn't allow underclassmen. It was only for rising juniors. And he said, hey, I got a kid who's going to be a freshman. He'll be the best player you've ever seen. I'm like, hey, Pete, maybe next year we can't get him. You got to wait. It's got to wait a year. He goes, well, I just want you to come out and meet him. And so he brings him out. I shook his hand, and I felt like a 3-year-old. It was the biggest hand I've ever seen. Just a massive kid, but he was lean. Again, you don't want fat, sloppy. And I didn't want to be harsh, but you want lean, athletic, and fluid.
Yeah, if anything in these highlights, he kind of looks like a basketball player with pads on. Like a broad-shouldered kind of long guy.
You want length and feet. And that's why we're big on measurements. We do hand size, arm length, wingspan, and if you have a sub 35 arm and a sub 80 wing, you can't play tackle for sure. So Tyron Smith was long as heck, big feet. He was going to grow. He looked skinny at 270. And the question was, how big can he get? And that's always a little bit of a concern. If you have a guy who's too lean, it's like, okay, how much mass can this kid put on? And he ended up being, 300 plus at USC, but the best high school offensive lineman that from a prospect standpoint that I ever saw. Again, had the feet, the fluidity, had the arm length, had the toughness and the physicality. I want a guy not dirty, but I want a guy who's got a little bit of an edge, right? I want a guy a little bit of nasty. If you're playing in the trenches, and you got to be tough, you got to be a dog. And Tyron, he was mean and nasty, not dirty, but had the length, had the feet, had it all. So elite offensive tackle prospect.
Okay, our next guy, I don't know, like I kind of almost, okay, so we saw Deshaun Jackson, Robert Woods. I mean, I'm not, are they comparable, right? Yeah. I mean, he was a pretty dang good athlete too, or are they two completely different guys?
They were different. Deshaun was probably had a little bit more juice just from a top end speed standpoint, but I'll tell you what, when we called him Woody, Woody's senior year, he could have been the number one player in the state at 3 different positions: wide receiver, corner, and safety. He was special, and body control was elite. After the catch ability was elite. Again, not a huge guy. I'm usually a fan of the 6'3", 6'4" Andre Johnson, Megan Fun types. But so Deshaun and Woody for me were in that 5'11", 6 feet range. But Woody was so tough, man, and his ability to make tough grabs through contact. And again, I love a guy with after the catch. What can you do? You get tackled right away, or can you make 3 guys miss and take it to the house? And that was what he could do. Again, a two-way guy. I'm a big fan of two-way snaps. We see that projects really well. Elite corner, elite safety, elite track, 400 meter runner, 200 meter runner. Highest of the highest compete level that I've seen. And So yeah, he might not have had like the top end speed that Deshaun Jackson, but as for all around football player, one of the best I've ever seen.
It's awesome. We got 2 more for Greg Biggins. DeAnthony Thomas, who this is like a little city section action here. Crenshaw. And I want to say this is a guy where, tell me if I'm wrong, it's like it didn't matter. Everyone knew where the ball was going. Didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, he was legendary. I mean, he was the Black Mamba before Kobe was. And I love city section football. It's kind of sad right now that it doesn't have the same kind of buzz that it used to be. But DeAnthony was. I mean, you go to a Crenshaw game and there would be celebrities there watching him. One of those guys that you watch and you thought for sure there's no way this guy won't be playing in the NFL for as long as he wants. Went to Oregon and it was like watching high school stuff all over again. Kick return, punt return, jet sweeps, running back, wide receiver, slot. Every time he had the ball, like his speed was just different and he was electric, man. Like again, 2-3 steps and he was full blast, able to cut and change direction, going full speed, didn't have to really throttle down at all. I thought he could have been an elite corner prospect if you want to go that route. But with the ball in his hand, DeAnthony was probably one of the most, I don't know if it's the correct word, the funnest player I've ever seen. And,
okay.
I loved his style and his ability to take it to the house from anywhere on the field.
Yeah, I like that. So he was kind of like box office.
Box office, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I mean, so went to Oregon, played for Chip Kelly, and then what? Like just didn't become an NFL guy, or what was the gap there?
Yeah. So he got drafted. I want to say about the Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
And he kind of hung around for a while, but he just never really hit like he thought he would. And I don't know if he was playing out of position. Again, he was kind of a small frame, undersized guy, and it's a different level when you get banged by guys that are 240. They're also running 4 or 5, right? So. A little bit different, but that's why I kind of thought corner might be the move for him. But wide receiver, slot, running back. If you take out the NFL and just again focus on high school football, one of the 5 best players and one of the most fun guys I've ever had a chance to watch.
Okay, one more here that you're high on, and more of a recent guy who, in my opinion, before I play his tapes, Bryce Young. Look, Greg, I mean, you don't have to admit this. I'll say it. I think it's cool to cover these athletes, get to know them, see their journey, and then you if you're just have any heart at all, you start to root for them. I mean, you just want to see them go and do fun stuff. And I know this is someone that you probably root for and got to know pretty well, but I started to root for him even more, even though I didn't cover him. I only started doing regional stuff the last like 2-3 years, but I started to really root for him when he went through his spell in Carolina where they kind of sat him and he kind of really had to go through a season of just not playing good football, not playing at all, maybe some doubt. And then he got his chance back and really finished the season well with some nice starts. So I'm rooting for him because he had some really down times and quickly was able to respond. So yeah, man, go for it. Bryce Young.
Yeah. You can make a case, again, I watched him at Cathedral and then obviously went to Mater Dei, but like one of the best high school quarterbacks of all time. And there's other players in that, you're talking just high school only.
Right.
People in Texas swear by Kyler Murray. Tate Martell at Gorman never lost a high school game at Bishop Gorman. But Bryce Young, and again, undersized, over the last 10 years, there's only been 4 quarterbacks drafted under 6 feet over the last 10 years. So you better be like really, really, really good. And we'll all get hit by parents saying, hey, Bryce Young is doing this. What about my son? And you're going, no, your son is not Bryce Young. Like I'll be blunt. Yeah. So I would say, man, if you're an undersized quarterback or an undersized edge rusher or maybe a linebacker who's not super, you need to be like extra special in every other aspect of the position. Bryce Young probably had the best ability I've ever seen about, just feeling pressure, where it was coming from, making guys miss, eluding them, extending the play, and making something creative happen outside the pocket. Best I've ever seen. Arm strength was underrated always. His hand size, he actually had a bigger hand than DJ, Uyang and Lele. Those two, kind of the 2 quarterbacks coming out. Bryce had like a 10.5 hand. So he could grip it and rip it. Again, basketball background before he got to high school. So you see some of those no-look passes that he was doing out there and the vision he had. I think a lot of it was a point guard basketball background that he had, but so competitive, just so tough. You see some of the shots that he takes, and he doesn't flinch, man. He stands in there and smiles at the guy who just drilled him. So deep ball accuracy, timing, anticipation. He had all of that at the highest level. So if you're going to be 5'11" and 170, again, you need to be great at anticipating, at throwing on time, at making guys miss. Not a hyper athletic kid. You're not going to see him run a 4.5, but he played fast, right? He was able to elude it. If he needed 10 yards, he would get 11 yards, just taking off and running. And just his IQ off the charts as well. So Bryce will always be one of my favorite guys. And like you mentioned, man, great kid, great mom and dad, great family. So just super easy to root for.
Love that, Greg. Thank you for that. And I had a couple other athletes I wanted to mention, but I do want to kind of tighten it up here. I'll mention one that to me in my 10 years stood out and would like to get your feedback on him, and that was Kayvon Thibodeau. I thought he was so special at Oaks Christian coming off the edge, and kind of someone, in my opinion, you'd walk up and just kind of a specimen. I know in high school probably a little light, like 230, 225, and so I know everyone was like, man, he's got to get a lot bigger if he wants to do this on Sundays, and he did, and he's obviously doing really well for himself. But just kind of talk about what you saw at KT, because he was really, really fun to watch.
So I saw him at Dorsey, and again, I'm always going to try to home for LA City football if I can. And he was special then. I think one of the games I watched, he had like 4 or 5 sacks, and 4.0 GPA kid. I don't think people know how smart the guy was.
Yeah.
And then you have a conversation with him. You feel like you're talking to an adult, right? He kind of had it all figured out at an early age. He's going to go to Oregon. He was going to get a degree, and I think it was like sports marketing, and he was going to be an agent when he's like, he had it all figured out at an early age. So Oaks Christian was good there, but even before then, playing at Dorsey. And again, undersized from a weight standpoint, but again, you look at the arm length, you look at the get off, the way you can turn, dip, bend. You see those guys that, really good football high school players, but maybe a little stiff. They can't turn that corner. KT, man, he was elite at getting low. However your left tackle was, he was going to get lower, and his closing speed, those last 3 or 4 steps, he was really, really good there. Played the run extremely well, too. So just, again, cliche, checked off every box that you want to see. And shoot, first round pick, and hopefully he has a big season this year. But no, another guy, great high school player.
I will leave you with this, and Greg, thanks for your time, man. So glad you came on. This is really, really fun. Last question for you, and you don't have to go into the weeds, but we got another high school football season coming up. Everyone's saying it's modern day Bosco, and it might be, but if you had to throw another program out there that's gonna nip at the heels, and it actually doesn't have to be necessarily a team that's gonna nip at the heels of the modern days and the Boscos, because that's even a little boring. A team that you might think would win the D2 or D3, just a team that's on the rise that maybe you've been hearing about. Who would that be this fall?
Yeah, man, I don't know if it fits what you're asking, but I mean, I'd say watch out for Sierra Canyon. If you want to play against Bosco modern day, you better be tough physically on defense. And they got an elite secondary. They already did. Brandon Lockhart is now over there opposite Haven Finney. Richard Wesley, for me, is a top 3, top 4 edge rusher in the country. Not California, not Southern Section, in the country.
And
Richard
Wesley, for people that don't know, he skipped the grade.
Even after reclassifying, he is one of the top 5 edge rushers in the country after the reclass. Kasai Curry, as an inside D tackle, is elite. So offensively, that's going to be, hey, let's watch them and see who kind of emerges there. They got some dudes, but defensively, they're going to be fun to watch. As far as, it's always kind of hard to predict D2 just because you don't know how many teams make D1. And I know everyone, kind of would rather play D2 and be that 1 or 2 seed rather than, be the 8th or the 12th and have to play against one of those monsters in the Trinity League in the first round. So, it kind of remains to be seen. But I think Sierra Canyon, I would not be shocked if they kind of rise up and upset some teams. I don't know if it's going to be an upset, but if they do play a Bosco modern day, I'd say that should be a very competitive game. I'm one of those guys. I don't think it's a done deal. I think Bosco and modern day should be 1-2 or 2-1. But I think both have some holes. I've saw them both multiple times over the offseason. I think there's some question marks, and I think there's always that chance for an upset. So that's why you play the game, right?
I spoke to John Ellinghaus today, man. So that is a gentleman that has, people don't know Sierra Canyon, though it's been a name that is very. I mean, I think it's technically the number 1 most Googled high school in America, and so it's popular, but it really hasn't been around a whole long time. And John Ellinghaus, I think, is in year 17. He's their only football coach in school history, man. So that's a guy who has been at it for a long time. I have so much respect for him. And he was telling me today, he's like, man, think we're gonna be pretty good, you know. So, I think every high school, Ed Croson, Greg, used to tell me, man, I don't know how many years I've been doing this. And he looks at me and he goes, every week 0, we're chasing ghosts, because he just never knows. You can prep all you want. I still really don't exactly know what I have till I see those guys out on Friday night. So that's the fun part of it. Greg, thanks so much for coming on, man. Hey, and maybe another time down the road you come back. But thanks for experiencing the Fattal factor, man.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be your guest on your first show, man. Always good catching up, and yeah, look forward to seeing you on the road this upcoming football season.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
Yep.
So there he goes, Greg Biggins. Man, that was, I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I didn't expect to go that long with him, but that's a kudos to him. That just goes to show you, look, Greg Biggins is a busy guy. He's been around a long time, and he is successful at what he does, and he's good at what he does. It's why he's been doing it for such a long time, and you can just tell. Great personality, so much knowledge. Really kind of like, I hope he doesn't take this the wrong way. I mean, kind of like the Mel Kiper of, high school football. I mean, he just knows everything about everybody. So, and he knows what he's looking for. So thank you for Greg Biggins for coming on. That was awesome. And so that being said, we will transition into what I think a lot of people, look, football aside, high school sports, 5 stars, whatever. I think a lot of people are excited for the Breakfast Burrito reviews. So I'm going to cue that up. Enjoy. Okay, guys, another Breakfast Burrito review coming your way. This time, I stayed up on the north side of the valley where I live. I live in Chatsworth. Didn't go too far. Went to Porter Ranch to Claudine. I've always thought it was called Claudine's, and I've been there before, and it's really, really good. But I've not had their brisket breakfast burrito, which says it's a 1/4 pound, 24-hour cooked brisket, hash brown, scrambled eggs, salsa, cheddar, and jack cheese with some salsa verde. So, and a little bit of crema on the side. I mean, I think this is basically just sour cream, to be honest with you. And then here's the salsa verde that you can either, I got it to go, obviously, but I think if you get it at the restaurant, it kind of comes like a wet burrito. I'll tell you right now, off the jump, I don't know what the focus is going to be like. Okay, there we go. Here's the inside of it. What I like about it right now is just some good moisture in there. Haven't taken a bite yet, but I always like a burrito that's kind of got a little bit of a lot going on in the middle. Right when you cut through the bad boy, there shouldn't be, one bite of hash brown over here, one bite of egg, one bite of beef, or whatever protein you get. This is pretty well mixed before I've even taken a bite here. Here's the drawback of this burrito right off the top. It's a $17 breakfast burrito. Claudine also more of a sit-down brunch restaurant kind of spot. Great looking place inside. I definitely recommend going. Everything they do is good. Their breakfast burrito is a little bit more restaurant style per se. Okay, another look real quick as I've taken a bite. Pretty good. I mean, a lot of good flavors in there. I wish it was a little bit cheesier. You definitely need to add the salsa. The hash browns give a little crisp. Gotta love a good crisp in there. So you're getting textures when you take a bite, and you cannot be mad at that. Cannot be mad at that. I'm gonna add a little bit of salsa, and so hopefully this doesn't get too messy. Look, it's a good burrito. I wouldn't order it like you would a traditional breakfast burrito. Breakfast burritos, in my opinion, there's something about them. You grab them to go, you eat them in the car. Of course, when you're at a breakfast spot, you can get a breakfast burrito, and that's what this is. So if you're out with the family, definitely worth getting here. Claudine, out in Porter Ranch. Really good spot, good breakfast burrito, especially with the brisket. That's where you're kind of getting that elevated price. It's a good burrito. I'm gonna go 7.6 here. 7.6, nothing too crazy, nothing that's gonna break any records. Not quite an 8 for me. That price really drops it. You're with a friend, you're with family, they're getting pancakes, they're getting omelets, so on and so forth. Get the burrito, you won't regret it, but it'll cost you about 20 bucks. That's the review. Sorry, I was muted. My apologies. So Claudine, there's one up in the Sherman Oaks, Tarzana area, and it's really good. But yeah, they got one here in Porter Ranch, so I thought, brisket. Anytime you hear brisket, you got to give it a shot. $20 breakfast burrito. Whew. However, it was good. Maybe give it a try. 7.6, I think, is a fair rating for that burrito. And we'll talk more about it right now because it's time for Ask Aram.
Tarek, bro, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
Before we bring him on, we got to make sure that he's there. So stand by. Let's see. There he is. There he is. There he is. Stand by. Hold on. Here he comes. Here he comes, everybody. Relax. There he is. Aram, can you hear us?
Yeah, of course. I can hear you.
Oh, he's here, man. So look, right off the top, tell me what you think about the we'll get the Twitter feed up here for now. Tell me what you think about the breakfast burrito review, man. I mean, what'd you think about what was going on inside that burrito?
Well, I couldn't hear a word of what you said, but I don't really need to.
Okay.
I don't really need to, bro, because as I've told you before, we're all chasing the dragon when it comes to breakfast burritos. So, like I've said, 95% of them suck. And, you gave this one a 7.6. All right. I tried the one that you had tried last summer at that epic burrito in Huntington Beach. And that's the name of the place, ladies and gentlemen, the Epic Burrito.
Yeah, not that great.
Not that great, but I think you gave that one in the 7s too. So that has me thinking this one's not that great. But we need to break down, Tarek, like what the issue is with breakfast burritos. And here it is, okay? There's too many layers for 95% of them to be any good, right? You got to have good eggs. You got to have, pick your breakfast meat. I go with bacon as my baseline. You got to have American cheese, not cheddar, not this cheddar jack mix that a lot of burger places are using. You got to have good hash browns. You got to have good salsa. The tortilla has to be right. And these places, most of them are doubling as a breakfast burrito place, meaning that they are burger places that are also serving breakfast burritos. They don't specialize in it. It's a very tall ask to have them be good at all those ingredients. And if any one of the 5 or 6 that I named are bad, the whole thing blows up.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, you need to have a good salsa, okay, or a hot sauce to put on the thing. And a lot of places, that's like 50-50. So there you have it. I will go back and watch like what you actually said.
Yeah, I kind of you when Aram's in there, when Aram's basically like in the slot ready to come onto the show, he can't watch. He had to like watch it back. I get you. So that's my bad. So Aram didn't see the review, but. Look, to me, the reason why. So one of the most popular, like on any list, LA Times came out with a list. These lists of best breakfast burritos in LA. There's always in Burbank, Corner Cottage. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's super popular. I do not think it's a good burrito. They just stuff it with potatoes and it's too dry. So for me, I'm kind of with you on either there's got to be a good salsa with it, or something inside of it that keeps it moist, honestly. Whether it be a little bit of grease, right? Ain't gonna hurt nobody. I think you love that. But there's got to be a good salsa. I like maybe a good crisp with a hash brown, or like some people, tater tots or something like that, or a roasted potato. So textures and the eggs can't be too rubbery. But I'm more of a chorizo guy. I'm always gonna lean chorizo. Obviously, this was a brisket breakfast burrito, a little heavy, but the big one again to me, which made it nowhere close to it ain't, was the price. We can't have $20 breakfast burritos, dude.
Yeah, I get that.
Hey man, welcome.
Greg Biggins, man.
Yeah,
Greg Biggins, bro.
How good was that? That was pretty good.
Imagine that guy's inbox.
Oh, I know.
Okay?
Oh my gosh.
And just imagine like the parents, okay, of not the people that he's rated, but the people that he hasn't rated, that are getting at him, telling him, dude, you're missing out on this kid. They always start like by acting like they're anonymous. Hey, just want to let you know about this kid, that plays for West Hills, and he's very good. And then when you start to dig, you start to realize this is the mom or this is the dad. Yeah. So just imagine, it's not about the guys that he rated 3, 4, and 5 stars. Those I'm sure he probably gets a lot of heat on. but it's the ones that he didn't rate at all that the parents think that he should be rated, even a 3-star, and they're not, and they get in those DMs. Man, I don't envy him for that.
That's probably part of the job. Excuse me, is trying to stay away from all the madness. And speaking of the madness, Aram,
he's like an Instagram model, Tarek. Like he doesn't check his DMs. Like everything.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no.
If you think you're going to see a scene on something that you sent Greg Biggins, you're dreaming. Go on.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. And actually, in fact, Greg Biggins' Instagram, you go to it, it's all just it's just like him. It's just like his family. There's nothing really even professional on there. So my guess is he does all of his work literally via website or Twitter, because his Instagram is really just him and his family, which is awesome. That being said, talking about the madness, Aram, we got high school football coming up, man. We got a couple of weeks before games get played. And look, before we get into the weeds, because something is going to pop off. There's going to be some scandal. There's going to be a story. You know, one of the things I'll tell you right now, I got a little news. Right now, the CIF Southern section has 11 transfer requests for Bishop Montgomery football, and I don't think it's over. Now, I wasn't able to get information on what the results of those transfers are going to be, sit, no sit, SOP, whatever. But I know that as of right now, basically almost 2 weeks before we play a football game, they've got 11 transfers waiting for approval in the portal. I know that's one of the big stories, but I wanted to ask Aram, you know, what's something you're keeping an eye on this high school football season?
Well, by the way, about Bishop Montgomery, I'm going to set the over/under on 8.5 at 8.5 on how many get cleared, and I'm taking the under. Okay, as in cleared to play week 0. Okay,
week 0. Okay.
Yeah. So there may be some sit outs that counts towards the under. The things I'm looking for this season, I think you and Greg kind of touched on it, just how much the gap has closed on Mater Dei and to some lesser degree Bosco. I know, like Greg was saying about Sierra Canyon, they think this is their best team yet. That's interesting. Also, you know, we talked about this a few years ago on Spaces. You know, at the outset of the season, I always just kind of look forward to seeing who's going to put together that record that gets them bumped up several divisions than what they're kind of used to historically. So that's something else that I'm watching about. I would say, you know, I'm paying special interest this year, bro, to public school teams. I want to find that your Belinda, you know, see if there's more of them out there that can fly up to a Division III and win that, which is a pretty nice accomplishment for a public school. You know, we just the teams that we've mentioned already, you know, those 4 up in D1, they're all privates. Maybe even Corona Centennial, you know, they think they have one of their better teams. They think they've closed the gap on Mater Dei. And by the way, our guy Chris Four, who's in the chat, he has tweeted about how many transfer requests some of these schools have in Mater Dei. Now, this is including all sports, not just football. Has 32, leading the pack. I don't know if your Bishop Montgomery number was just football, or is that like
just football as of today?
I wonder what Mater Dei, like what percentage of that 32 is for Mater Dei. But you know, that should be interesting. They're very good at getting people cleared somehow. Right. Because they're also good for business. So yeah. But that would be about it, man. You know, it's hard for me to look ahead to this stuff.
Sure.
I feel like as a whole, you know, SoCal is kind of rebuilding this year. And, you know, we always have talent. So, you know, who will step up and be the stars this year is probably along those lines. I got to see, you know, some of them at Edison. Bro, I don't think I didn't see Mater Dei, obviously, but just from what I'm hearing about everyone, I don't think there's a complete team out there yet in any division. I think there are some teams that have good skills returning, but not line play. Some teams that have good line play returning or generally have it, but not so good in the skills or unproven. So, you know, that's going to be the fun part, to see how everything starts to play out here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and there, you know, we all know that there's going to be a story this fall, and for those that didn't catch me at the top of the show, that's one of the reasons why I think even having Aram on, I think there's going to be moments where there's going to be a story, and this platform will be perfect to have a guest on to talk about what's going on. Get the truth, hear it from the horse's mouth. And again, I'm not saying, you know, I think there are going to be moments where it won't just be me and guest, it'll be Aram too. And I really think this is why this is going to be a really good jumping off point for this high school football and high school sports season, because basketball is going to have a little bit of drama too, as usual. What else you got, Aram? I mean, there's got to be something down the pike, or at least murmurs that, you know, I know you hear the, what do you call it, like the streets or the back page? What do you refer like the DMs as? You called it something. Like back channels, is it? Like the back
channels?
The back channels.
For guys like us, I don't mean to cut you off, but the most
important
thing we can do is be involved in as many group chats as possible these days, as much as that might bug. So if you can get in a lot of group chats, you can kind of hear about things. However, I do notice that a lot of coaches more and more are keeping quiet about things. You know, whether it be transfers, they're kind of like waiting till the lights come on, till everyone sees what they've been doing, what they've got going. So information's kind of becoming harder to come by. I also notice a lot of people are playing the media game, and I'm not media anymore. I may work for media, but I don't, you know, put content out there other than this. But I notice people are playing the game now, trying to plant stories, you know, hit with their vendettas or go after their revenge on certain people by planning stories. So I get a lot of things in my DMs saying, hey, I heard XYZ coach over at such and such is in trouble. You know, he did whatever. And then nothing ever comes of it. So you have to really be careful. I'm taking now a wait and see approach with everything and just letting things play out. However, I did want to answer, I don't know if you were going to ask me this, my best players that I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear them.
I'll keep it brief. And this is who I've seen with my own eyes, okay? Just who I've seen with my own eyes, whether it was as a kid. Again, I started watching high school football late 80s, and then it became a job in the early 2000s. Always been a sick fan. So I have that, you know, 35 years-ish of experience watching. So with my own two eyes, best offensive player that I've ever seen, Napoleon Kaufman from Lompoc, the running back, phenomenal. Okay. And I'll give you a story about him. Watched him run all over San Marino in the playoffs in 1990. And I was a sophomore in high school, and he was a senior in high school. And here I was asking him for his autograph on a football. We're both in high school, and I'm asking him for an autograph. We're a year or two apart age-wise. He was that good. He was phenomenal. And then the other side of the ball, defensively, best player I've ever seen, with my own two eyes, of course, and had the pleasure of covering him, Brigham Harwell from Los Altos, five-star recruit back in 2003, who eventually signed with UCLA. Just most dominant defensive player that I've ever seen. You just couldn't block him. You couldn't double team him, nothing. He was too fast off the edge. I love those defensive ends. You were talking about Kayvon Thibodeau. I love those guys. Wesley at Sierra Canyon's another guy. It'll be interesting to see if he can kind of, you know, be that star. I mean, he already is. That star defensive end off the edge that people just can't contain. So those are my two. Yeah, it's the opioid addiction thing like that Napoleon's doing, right? Or no, I'm watching it.
Hold on, let me make sure you can. I don't.
Or you're watching that 1990 Scholastic Sports America thing?
Yes.
I watched that before. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just finding highlights of them. And so he had to come down to San Marino for a playoff game. That'd be my only guess why they had to come down.
Yes, this was back when CIF had no clue how to division, and they didn't really even care about certain teams beyond a certain point. And San Marino, Temple City had really good teams. This is back in a different demographic era, but they had really good teams, and Monrovia too. This lasted into the 90s. They got put into this wasteland of divisions, just like, whatever. So they would be playing these teams from up that way, Arroyo Grande, Lompoc, Morro Bay, all that stuff. It was ridiculous. So my freshman year of high school, Temple City, where I went, played at Lompoc. I went up there for that game. We didn't get there till halftime, and we got blown out by Napoleon Kaufman. And then his senior year, they came down here and played one of the best San Marino teams there ever was in 1990. That's a CIF championship team if they're divisioned properly, but they weren't. So they ran into Napoleon Kaufman in the semifinals, and he ran all over him. But yes, I've seen this clip that you were talking about, and he kind of talks about how he avoided gang issues early on in this clip. I don't think anyone's getting sound, but yeah, it's worth.
Yeah, no, I've got it muted on. I've got it muted on purpose. But it's funny, Napoleon Kaufman, when there's a kid at Oaks Christian named Deshaun Rideau. He's committed to USC. He's a running back. He's a senior now, and I believe he was either I think he might have been a sophomore. And this was a few years ago, freshman or sophomore. I want to say it was before his sophomore season. So I go out to Oaks Christian, and their coach is Charlie Collins. Used to be a wide receiver coach in the NFL. Just been around a long time. And so I said, hey man, tell me about Deshaun Rideau. And he goes, he reminds me of Napoleon Kaufman. And the only reason, now what's funny is the only reason I knew who that was, I was born in 89, right? So I think most people wouldn't. The only reason I knew who Napoleon Kaufman was because the early Madden 2000, 2001, 1999 games, Kaufman was pretty good, pretty fast guy. Yeah. So I knew who he was. And I'm just thinking, oh, wow, like that's pretty high praise. He's obviously in the NFL. But when I tweeted that out, like Charlie Collins thinks Deshaun Rideau is like Napoleon Kaufman. All kinds of old heads were like, no way. Like this guy was all world. So that's high praise. Yeah. So hey, Rideau's kind of a fringe 5-star guy in his own right, but I don't think he's Napoleon Kaufman. So
probably not. And Napoleon Kaufman went to Washington at a time where Washington was like a perennial top 3 team in the country. And he eventually, he played a little bit his freshman year, and then on into this is back when people stayed all 4 years, on into his career there. He was the starter, and then got drafted by the Raiders. Yeah, great player. So was Brigham Harwell. Awesome stuff, man.
I wanted to, then kind of on a lighter note, one of the things I wanted to ask you, and really piggybacking off your time covering high school football, what were some of your go-to pre-game and post-game meals, like what, maybe even a strategy? Because I'll tell you what, as a prep writer, I could argue that, let's say, quick sidebar before you answer, and I think you'd agree, as a high school sports writer, there's almost a part of the culture that is eating. You're just constantly eating, like either in your car, unfortunately, or you have to travel, so you have to find somewhere to eat before a game or after. So like if there was ever like a documentary on prep writers, food would have to be like part of the DNA of that documentary. So that's
the first 3 letters of football is the same as the first 3 letters of food. So FOO, bro, and it's also foo. I got to break it to you though, dude. I know, I've battled weight fluctuations my whole life. Everybody knows that. I love food. I don't eat before games. I wouldn't eat before games. I was just too. I've also battled anxiety, so I was too nervous to eat before games. Now on the way home, that's a different story. On the way home, as it's late now. It's 11, 12 o'clock. So your options, yeah. I would go to Norm's with friends that worked on the desk at the San Gabriel Valley Tribune, Pasadena Star News. After we all got done, some nights, so like for a couple seasons, we would go to Norm's every Friday night, crush it, and then you got to be up at 8 or 9 in the morning for college football, and that's an all-day thing. But that's another story. Or if I was solo, this is boring, but I would go to Del Taco, double Del cheeseburger.
Love Del Taco.
At the time, spicy jack chicken quesadilla. They don't have that anymore. It's only cheddar. But yeah, that would be what I did. Sorry, but too nervous before games to eat.
Yeah, no, you love Del Taco. You love. We may have to. I think I know. Like, listen, man. We bond about food. So we might. We're not gonna do it now, but down like maybe next week before football, we might have to rank your fast food spots.
Dude, this guy for VSiN, this guy Matt Humans, he's kind of like the boss of their editorial there at VSiN, which is Vegas Sports Information Network. He puts out, this is the last year he did it, top 50 fast food places. He ranks them. It's phenomenal. It's must read, must viewership. His number 1 and 2 this year were Culver's was number 1, and that kind of sucks for us because there's not really one we can get to.
Right.
But Portillo's was usually the number 1. Portillo's down to number 2.
You put me on the Portillo's, man. I get the same order. I'm never down in Orange County or that area often, so I can always get the same thing when I go down there, man. And that's that Italian. Is it the Italian sausage? Italian beef sandwich.
Italian beef sandwich, yeah.
With sweet and
but everything there is good, dude.
Sweet and sour. Is it sweet and sour peppers?
Sweet and hot peppers dipped. You have to get the sandwich dipped. Bro, you know what's great about Portillo's is it's one of those places that you go to and it has like an obligatory social media post. You can't go there without posting on social media.
You gotta let everybody know you're there.
I mean, it gives you street cred in the fast food realm.
There's no question. And Aram, look, man, I'll ask you one more thing before I let you go. We're getting past 9. Biggins and I went a little long, so I apologize for that. But I think people are digging it, man. The chat's been popping off the whole show. There's a good steady viewership in here, man. So we're off to a hot start. But
Young Gabriel's in there, Steve Ramirez in there, Joe Shermer in there.
Sherm's in here, Chris Ford's in here. I got a couple.
It's like spaces. TK in there, DT was in there.
Yeah, my buddy.
Your guy Rutherford was in there.
Yeah, my Dallas was in
Rory
there.
O'Donoghue's.
My buddy Rory and Daniel Thompson were in here. Yeah, man. So some good support streaming in, and I think they get a kick out of it. But last thing I wanted to ask you, man, and I think there's a part of it. One of the reasons why I want you on this show, man, is you have this you're unfiltered in regard to, like, if something disgusts you, like we're gonna talk about it. And if we're being honest, high school football, there's an element of it that has gotten more unbearable to you. Is that a fair? Just something about. Yeah, man, is it like the parents getting too involved? Is it the want from the athletes? Is it the overhype from coaches? Is it the I feel like, maybe coaches oversell and underdeliver on some stuff to kids or families. I know that there is an element of this that really, really bugs you. And that I know there's going to be stories like that this year. And that's when I'm going to go, Aram, the floor is yours. So for now, set that table, because I know some of what I just said is true.
Yes. A lot of the things you mentioned, yes, but the overarching biggest one is something that we've talked about in Spaces now for years that I warned everybody about, was this new layer that is being added to the game, which is the street influencer, recruiting guru coach that has infiltrated the game now. The guys in the backpacks, the guys that are just total idiots, that rarely have much of a football background and think that they have influence bigger than what they do. And we've argued about this ad nauseum in Spaces. They will come on. I won't name names. They will come on and actually, try and argue that they are as influential or more influential as a high school coach. And what's funny is that's starting to become true. But these guys are grifters. They're out there for envelopes. They're trying to get kids offers. And speaking of offers, what's come with that? It's not as bad as it was a few years ago because we called it out correctly on Spaces and just sort of exposed them. These fake offers or these spread out offers like XYZ college comes to SoCal and offers 25 guys, 20 of them you've never heard of. That layer is threatening to ruin the game if we let it. I'm starting to hear, though, a lot of people are kind of reverting back to, staying at their home school. These guys have influence also about where these kids go to high school, Tarek. So it's not just the promise of offers and stuff, or scholarships, I should say. They have influence about where these kids go to high school. This is why Loyola has had the mass exodus that it's had. I've talked to people about this. I've asked several people different reasons. And basically, it's because one of these, the reason that I believe the most is because one of these street influencers kind of left the school, and with it, his kids went to different places and jetted out. These guys are determining where kids are going to school. They're also thinking they're determining who gets an offer or who can get an offer. It's just become a joke. Bishop Montgomery, they're the latest version. They're the pop-up. Los Alamitos was at school recently. Narbonne's had its issues. You can go to Adelanto, same thing. This is, they've infiltrated. They're in the game now. And we all just have to sit back and either laugh or scoff or whatever. But it makes for good entertainment. I'll say that. Our spaces are lively when we discuss this.
Hey man, you know what they say, when drama's business is booming when there's a little bit of drama. Aram, my man, thank you for sticking around. Actually, you know what, Aram, stay on. Let's go over my preseason top 25. Do it with me.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just hang on. Let's just, because look, those that have been watching this whole time, thank you so much for joining. Sherm is sticking around. Johnny Rodriguez, thank you. Let me just take care of some of these people out here, Aram, real quick. Yeah, Rory, Sherm, Gabe Duarte, young Gabriel. My girlfriend is always harping on me for having rappers in my car during football season.
Hey, if we don't watch young Gabriel, he's going to end up married. I'm worried about this guy. He's going to end up married before
the quick little car wash can't fix, brother. But yeah, man, Chris Four again, and we're gonna, that's what's funny about Chris Four being in here. I have his website like on the docs here because I want to go over some of these football coaches.
Bro, real quick. Sorry. One thing. One huge development this offseason I should bring up, Cal Preps going to subscription.
Oh, you know what? Let's back pocket that for next week because that's a total subject we should talk about.
It's ruined my life. Go on. Go on, bro.
All right, we'll get to that. Let's back pocket that.
We're back on Max Preps, Tarek.
Dare I call that a teaser for next week? Look, I don't plan on being on this for too long, because I'm gonna skim through. And look, there's not a whole lot to break down. These are the rankings I see fit. Eric Sonheimer puts out his top 25, which is basically the same thing. It's basically the southern section. And so there's some similarities, a couple differences, but nothing crazy. For me, it's hard to see anybody but Mater Dei at number one, just simply out of respect and how talented they are. But I love your point, Greg Biggins, saying, hey, maybe this gap isn't as far as we think it is. Yeah. So for right now, Mater Dei. And you know what? I think Bosco, it would not be surprising to me if Bosco, ended up getting Mater Dei in the middle of the year, which they're scheduled to play, I believe, week 10, which is that last Friday of October. Going before the postseason. This St. John Bosco team was loaded with fresh sophomores and juniors last year.
Yeah. And Mater Dei wasn't, Tarek. Mater Dei wasn't. Remember, they had the trouble fielding the freshman team last year.
For sure.
That's why they need to reload.
They had a lot of their juggernauts left. Nasir Wyatt's gone. Their quarterback's gone. Jordan Davison, the big running back's gone. But they do return a lot. So point is, Bosco, a little more continuity, and I think that's what we're trying to say here. Sophomores, juniors, now juniors and seniors. And listen, let's not forget, Bosco had a freshman quarterback last year who is going to be really, really good in Koa Malu Alu Ulu. I believe that's how you say it. I probably butchered that. Okay, moving on. Look, I don't think I have Sierra Canyon in a bad spot here. Again, preseason, big deal. I got him at 4. From what I'm hearing from you.
Wait, who was 3?
Maybe they need to be 3. I don't know, but
who was 3?
I put Mission Viejo.
Oh, okay, all right.
They got the Ohio State quarterback. Yep. They got really good defensive pieces coming back. They got Vance Spafford going to Miami. The guy catches everything. I mean, it's not like they're and frankly, Luke Fahey, let's not forget, was splitting reps last year. So this guy's the full-time quarterback. Maybe they're even better. I don't know. Now, their defense, they've lost some guys. But I got Viejo at 3. And just historically, I'm pretty sure Sierra Canyon's never beaten Mission Viejo. They've played once, maybe twice. So there's a couple step-up games there for Sierra Canyon.
Wait, when do they play?
I don't know if they play this year.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
you
I'm
were
just saying.
that they were
There's
playing. Okay, go on.
and again, look, you could argue the last 10 years there's no one that knows more about Sierra Canyon athletics than me. But with Sierra Canyon football, John Ellinghouse always he talked about these step up games, and he just knew that in order to get used to big boy football, you got to get used to big boy football. And so he would go out and schedule the Centennials, the Mission VAOs, and these Trinity League teams. He's beating Trinity League teams every year now, but I don't think they've ever beaten Centennial, and I don't think they've ever beaten Mission Viejo. So those are kind of the two big public school juggernauts they've yet to conquer. Maybe that's this year's the year. And I'm going off the top of my head. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure those are the big ones out there. But this defense is loaded. Reardon going that defensive back, Madden Reardon SC, having Finney is going to LSU. Brandon Lockhart from Loyola SC. Miles Baker's a 4-star recruit, and then they got Richie Wesley. So, and they got all kinds of guys loaded up. I got Santa Margarita at 5. I'm gonna start moving here, Aram. I'm gonna name another 5 more, and I'll let you comment. So Santa Margarita, obviously Carson Palmer coming back. Everyone's really high on them. They got a lot of returners, and we're going to see this new quarterback that came in from out of state, Trace Johnson. I think he's going to like Tulsa or San Jose State or something like that. Then I got Corona Centennial. I think some people might want to see them a little bit higher, but for me, the reason why they're docked a little bit down, I think we know the bloodline, and I think it'll be fine, but Dominic Catalano is going to be their starting quarterback. And look, he's been in the program a long time, just not a whole lot of varsity experience. So for me, you're 6, you end up earning yourself the 3 or the 4 spot. Okay, you jump up a couple spots, big deal. Olu, Servite, and Jay Sarah, I think that's just straight Trinity League. Rod Sherman runs a good program over Orange Lutheran. Servite, Chris Reinert's got it going. They got a new quarterback named Cale Murphy from Mission Viejo. He's excited about him. And then Jay Sarah loses their quarterback in Ryan Hopkins, who's now at Mater Dei. But still very, very good program. So we'll see how that goes. And then at 10, I've got the D2 champs. I got Newbury Park and Brady Smigel. If the Smigels are watching right now, because Joe said that they were gonna watch, I know him. He's like mad that I put them at 10. He's one of those. He does not like the hype. He doesn't like anyone talking about him. Last year they snuck up on everybody. That's just the truth. And they absolutely beat some nice quality programs, even on the road, finishing against Marietta Valley and winning the D2 championship. For me, I'm not letting them sneak up on anybody because I think they're going to be really good. So those are my top 10. Aram, any thoughts?
I think I don't like Servite. I don't like Jay Sarah. I saw that not as top 10 teams from what I saw at Edison. But go on.
Yeah, the only thing I always think about that, and dude, you absolutely could be right, but then I think about, okay, well, what programs are better than them?
True.
That's so like I wouldn't feel comfortable putting an Oaks Christian or a Sarah Gardena above those Trinity League teams. So they got to kind of earn it for me. But yeah, that's where I got Oaks Christian 11, Sarah Gardena 12, Marietta Valley at 13, Long Beach Poly under a new coach. We'll see how that goes. I think they had this little lull, and they're just talented and fast and have a little more experience, so maybe they turn a corner. I think it's likely they win the Moore League. Remember, the Moore League, Milliken won the Moore League last year, and that was a huge to-do. So maybe Long Beach Poly gets that back. Chaparral 15, Rancho Cucamonga 16. Anything that sticks out to you in those 6 teams?
No, just one team that I haven't heard of yet, but I'm waiting to see if they're on here.
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough.
This team I think might be higher than those.
Okay. So Rancho Cucamonga, San Juan Hills knows how to score a lot of points. We'll see how the defense. There's your Yorba Linda. I don't know if it was you that brought it up. I think you or Biggins, but someone brought up Yorba Linda tonight, and I think they're just that solid program that has a chance to probably make a good run in D2 or maybe even win D3. San Clemente, Edison here at 19 and 20. I got Inglewood up here. They lost a lot of seniors, but they're just always so talented. So I just felt like they deserved the nod in the top 25. Los Alamitos, Tustin at 23, Palos Verdes at 24 with Ryan Rakowski coming back. I feel like he's been in high school for forever. and he's only a junior, I think. So that's what's remarkable. And then at 25, I've got Damian, who you could argue James Stewart is going into his first year. We know that's not the truth, but clearly good things are happening over at Damian. And I expect this to be one of the teams that I think is going to rise. So that's my top 25. And there'll be a lot of movement this year, of course. But it sounds like you might have a couple teams either you didn't see or you expected to see higher.
Yeah, just one in particular, and that's Cathedral. I think that they are in the around the 15 range to start, with a chance to move up to that 15 to 10 range. They're very good. They're one of the teams that I saw at Edison. They have just a sick D1 receiver that's a matchup problem. He's tall.
Quentin Hale.
Yeah, Hale. And the QB is very, very nice, and he can move around. He can run a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to do that at a passing tournament, so you got to see his arm. He's got a very nice arm too. The name escapes me.
Yeah, Jaden Jefferson.
Yeah, there you go. And people assured me that they're pretty decent along the lines. Okay. So if they get any kind of line play at all, Tarek, that team's going to push, into D2. I don't know if they were there already last year, but I think, like I said, around 15 to start, and then Inglewood I wasn't impressed with at the tournament. Again, this is just going off of passing league stuff.
Right.
Good to see Damien in there. Local team. To these SGV people. Didn't see Bishop Amat though, bro.
Yeah, man. I don't. And look, Cathedral is an example to me. And look, I don't think you'll exactly disagree with me, and I'm not arguing with you. But yeah, good quarterback and stud athlete playing wide receiver. Sounds like they should be impressive at a passing league. So I'm glad to hear that. So I always kind of feel like there are teams on the radar that I kind of want to see them earn it a little bit, and they very well could. We'll see, because I believe they're still in the Angeles League, so they play like the St. Francis and those teams, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe there's some things.
No, that's right. St. Paul.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see if they even win that league. I would imagine they should. No?
They would be my favorite.
There you go. So, yeah. So that's my top 25. That came out August 7th. I've had that out for a little bit. Just look, we're going to bring him up just because he's kind of my competition. Eric Sonheimer had his out on the 10th. So just so people know, I had mine out first. Not that it makes it better or worse, but I think sometimes, just because Eric's been around a long time, sometimes people feel like he puts everything out first. And that's just not true. So I had my rankings out first. There's a lot of similarities. He's got a couple different teams in. I got a couple different teams in. It's no one's right or wrong here. That's just how we feel about things. Okay, now I want to get to these coaches, man.
Coaches?
Yeah, I want to get to these new coaches here in the Southern section, or I guess just in the city section even. So I'm kind of switching gears here. So according to this, and thank you, shout out to Chris Ford. This is pub for your website here, brother. 8 laces. If I read this correctly, there's 111 football changes. I mean, holy cow. I can actually click back. I think 99 the year before. okay, here we go. 102 the year before that. And 87 the year before that. So 111, that is a big number. According to this, only 108 have been filled. Dimely just had to cancel their first game. That's a city section school. But anyway, I'm not going to go through this whole list. I wrote down coaches that I think are worth mentioning here. So, and programs that I think we will see take steps in the right direction. Well, let me take that back. Let me take that back. Coaches that are okay. It's either it's either a notable name, a notable program. So we got to mention the coach. Most of these coaches, I expect the program to take a step in the right direction. Some of these other ones remain to be seen. So, Rancho Cucamonga, I'm just kind of going in the order I wrote them down. This is in no particular order. Rancho Cucamonga has, I believe it's Ofa Fafita is their new coach out there, so that's different. I'm sure that's, I don't know much about Coach Fafita, but Rancho Cucamonga is always talented and has, they care about football, so I expect them to be good. The one that's going to be interesting is in this, there's a couple city section schools, but one is out in Hamilton High School, and that's Elijah Asante. And he is...
That's my guy.
Oh, okay, you know him?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. You take it away. From what I've seen, I know he's coached a long time and he's kind of back, but from what I've seen, almost like a great marketing guy. He just loves to get his voice out there. He's trying to, he DMs me, hey, check out this player.
Right.
And as a media member, you have to eat that up. That's, hey man, you're barking up the right tree. So I have to imagine that things are going to move forward with that program. Go ahead.
Several things here, Tarek. He invented or coined the line, I don't recruit, I attract.
That's right.
Very nice. Very nice, Coach Asante. Wears the nice suit during the game. I don't know if he still does that.
Okay.
When he was at Carson, he beat Mater Dei 2 straight years, and people out there were like this. He basically sent Mater Dei to the inner city. That's when Mater Dei had the epiphany that they were not just going to do this with the quote-unquote Orange County, South Orange County kid. They needed to kind of, get more colorful at the school, so to speak. And Elijah Asante is the guy that basically started that process because Mater Dei couldn't hang with Carson. So that's his claim to fame. Then he went to St. Paul, sort of had an up and down situation there at St. Paul, but he was bringing some freak athletes into St. Paul, one of them being the legendary Kurt Scobie. So yeah, I know Coach Asante well, and he's going to hustle wherever he is. He's going to, get things going. So you can bank on that.
Couple others. The one that's going to be fun for me, and I just want to bring up a photo of him because if I have him right here, it's Keith Miller over at Bellflower High School. And if this guy doesn't look intimidating, I can't wait to meet this guy because he's been super friendly with me and he's been awesome. Yeah. Fills out questionnaires. Kind of seems like a businessman running a football program. Also clearly gets it. Tags media people on stuff, but it's like, man, if he was a basketball coach, I would not want that guy yelling at me to run suicides or whatever. No shot. So my guess is there's some serious
very old school.
Okay, yeah, there's some discipline over there. His brother is the coach at Lusinger.
Right.
These Miller guys have been around a long time. They know football. I'm excited to see what he does over at Bellflower. And the big one is his freshman son, Austin Miller, is like some 6'5" juggernaut that I'm sure will be someone to keep an eye on.
What school is this again?
Bellflower High School.
Right. Hasn't he been there?
See, and that's where maybe some of I've been around 10 years, but most of it was at the Daily News, so I don't know if he was there before. I think his brother used to be the coach, Jason Miller,
okay.
And now Jason's at Lusinger, and they got a good team rolling. Lusinger's a team that could creep up in the top 25.
Alma mater of Russell Westbrook. Go on, bro.
So, exactly. Reggie Morris was the coach. Anyway, basketball-wise, I'd be all over this. Football, it's man, I could be butchering some stuff, so sorry. But you guys get it. The heart is there. Okay, so shout out to Coach Miller and Bellflower. That will be a fun watch. The other one, Westlake High School, man. You know who's over there?
Refresh my memory.
Come on, man. One of our favorites.
Damian Porter?
No, he's at Harvard Westlake. That's another one. Keep an eye on Damian Porter.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay,
had an okay spell at Crespi. Didn't end well. Team wasn't very good. Wasn't coaching for a little bit. Now back at Harvard. Now back into it at Harvard Westlake. Hey, let's see what he does over there. No problem. Yeah. Cool, Coach Porter. But this is Rick Clausen.
Really?
So Casey and Rick are at Westlake High School ramping things up.
I was going to say, they'll get that going.
Oh, it's a matter of time, dude. They talk a bit, man, those guys are, and you know what, man? Some of the most laid back, cool, answer the phone, call you back, good dudes, man. Good dudes.
How is Casey not at a Trinity League school? That was one of my predictions 10 years ago or so.
I think, so here, remember, he was at Alamany, had it rolling.
Yeah.
Westlake, they live out there. I think they live in Westlake Village or Thousand Oaks, so this is like a stone's throw away. So it makes a lot of sense. And look, to be honest with you, I don't know exactly what kind of business they're in, but they like the football's for fun for them, Aram. Like it's on the side. They love it. Like they ain't coaching high school football for the money. So
Bro, when I asked him on my podcast, when you go into the fraternity league, his answer was, my wife likes it out here. I'm like, yeah, she'll like it in Newport Beach too.
Yeah,
Trust me.
yeah. I just honestly, man, like that's what I like about them. It's kind of like I'm good. They're just they just like coaching football, and you know what, dude? They like to win. They get after it, man.
Yes.
So I love that. Couple others that I pointed out. So yeah, we talked about it earlier in the show, and we have to go into the weeds with this, but Santa Margarita, Carson Palmer's back. I'm expecting that to be really fun for obvious reasons. They're talented. It's Carson Palmer, NFL, Trinity League, all kinds of stuff that makes for a good.
TJ Houshmandzadeh on that staff too, right?
So.
I didn't see him at Edison, but
TJ Houshmandzadeh, high school sports fan. I think he's got a little boy that's either in 7th or 8th grade. I saw that guy at all kinds of great basketball games this past winter. I went to, he was out at, I don't know where they live, but it was like Roosevelt versus St. John Bosco Open Division, and he was there, man. So this guy must love getting around and watching that stuff. Anyway, so yes, Carson Palmer, Long Beach Poly, under new leadership, Justin Utupo, I believe is how you say his name. Seems like a younger guy, good energy, talented. Another.
Is he the D coordinator?
I think he came from somewhere else. And again,
they have a poly guy on staff that looked like he was calling their defense at Edison. Okay. He was very into it. I had Brock look it up. I think that might be a Fafita, actually, a part of the Fafita clan.
Shermer thinks Santa Margarita is going 3-7 this year.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Dang.
I'll just say that from having seen them out there, but we'll see.
Okay, now and
by the way, I think it's great that Carson Palmer's back, and it's just another sign that Tarek, no matter where you go in life, and this is for everybody out there too, hopefully kids that will watch this, no matter where you go in life and how big and grand you get, coming back home at a certain age for you is going to mean the world, man. I don't care where you're from. Going back home, being involved community-wise, maybe being a coach at your alma mater or, the local high school, just really means the world to a lot of people. And that's like one of my favorite things to see.
Yeah, no, it'll be a fun cover. I'm kind of curious, to be honest. I am curious what he's like with media. Is he going to act like an NFL guy, which is like...
Yeah, I think
I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge him or anything. We'll see. Yeah. Is it going to be something? And look, I've earned this, and this is not to sound pompous. I've earned the right to go onto a high school football field an hour before the game, walk right up to the coach, shake his hand, and go, "Hey, what's up, Jason Negro? Right. Hey, what's up, Raul Lara? Hey, what's up, Tarek?" I've kind of earned that. Is that something I'm going to be able to do with Carson Palmer? I don't know, and I'm not trying to say I would never come off. Hey, but I know that with every other high school football coach that's doing it at a big time level, they got no issues with it. But now here comes someone from the NFL or from the higher levels, and it's like, are you going to be like take yourself too seriously, or are you going to be cool for 5 minutes and let me just talk about
I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. But it does make me wonder. But I think it'll be fine.
Will he be salacious? No, but he will definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think he's gonna start doing backflips either. Yeah, and I don't expect that. I'm just being honest here. And then Ford did confirm that Jason Miller was the coach at Bellflower and now he's at Losinger. So I'm getting my stuff right here. A couple more coaches. Another NFL guy, St. Bonaventure, Troy Hill, is the head coach there. So that's worth mentioning. And then a couple more, obviously. I got to give a shout out to Heritage Christian, and I know that is low on the totem pole. That is my alma mater. So I got to give them a little shout out here. But they hired a coach named Ben McEnroe, who was the longtime coach at Cal Lutheran and then was at Thousand Oaks High School, and they were really good. And so kind of a splash in regard to a basketball school getting a football coach, like a real football coach. So all I'm saying, Aram, is don't be surprised if Heritage Christian has this weird little leap into a higher division and maybe makes a little noise. So because they hired a very... Ben McEnroe can absolutely coach at like a Mission League school or even maybe a Trinity League school. He's got that kind of experience. He just likes I think he's just kind of on the back nine of it and just wants to have a small program and have administrative support. So that's what he's got right now at Heritage Christian. And then the last one I saved for last because I do want you to comment. And this will come up this year, and that's Corey Minor over at Bishop Almont.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, because look, man, great guy on the phone. He's got Chris Ricks helping him. There's all kinds of great energy. I'm not mad at any of that. I think they're doing it for the right reasons. They're trying to get Almont back on the map. Look, if I'm being honest with you, Haggerty, Steve Haggerty was just a pain in the you-know-what to get a hold of. Never filled out a questionnaire. I mean, really just, like I try to give guys benefit of the doubt. It's just like unfriendly. Just want nothing to do with me. Corey Minor gets the job within a week. I'm on the phone with the guy. He really cool, and obviously someone that just gets it. So I'm not looking for special treatment. I don't think any coach needs to have me top of mind, but like call me back, shoot me an email. I think that's fair. So Corey Minor's been great. However, I don't know how good they're going to be, and the Mission League is a tough league. Do they earn an auto spot out of that league? Are they in the bottom of the league? What are we to expect from Bishop Almont, Aram? And I'll let you go from here.
We're going to find out right off the bat against St. Paul. Last year, St. Paul beat them, and Tarek, that's a rare thing around these parts that, Bishop Amat people had always clung to being, first they clung to being a powerhouse in D1. Then they clung to just being in D1. Then finally it got so bad that they were clinging to, we're still the best team around here. We'll kick any of your asses. Nobody wants to play us around here type thing. Well, they renewed the rivalry with St. Paul, which should be played every year. And St. Paul, in a game that you were at with Freddie last year, St. Paul beat them. Yeah. And that was that just showed how far the gap's been closed. Now, St. Paul, to me, as a program, has gotten better. And by the way, Jim Phillips, who, by the way, is the best media relations guy in business, as you know.
Yes.
The best. Yeah.
That guy took care of me. I've never been there before. Took care of me like I was there every week.
He's in the chat right now. Mike Machete's great with the media too, but this isn't about St. Paul. But the thing is what happens if Corey Minor blows that first game at home against the arch rival, because that is a pretty sick rivalry. What happens if they lose that game? The thing with Almont is that they've lost guys, that were on last year's team that really wasn't a very good team anyways, and a lot of, several of the top players are gone from that team now as well. Now they've brought in transfers. I hear different things about who's getting cleared and who isn't. So we're going to have to wait and see, just like every other program. But right out the gates, we're going to see, but the good news is I think Corey Minor and his staff, they're going to have a little bit of a leash here, even with the Almont fans who can get quite impatient. And by the way, the Almont fans, I know you haven't seen it, Tarek, because they haven't been that good in your years, of covering them. Or the area. But man, when that program's kicking butt, or even just good to very good, their fan base is just phenomenal. And those people are waiting, and they deserve better than what they've had in recent years. Hopefully Corey Minor's going to deliver that. But they may have to fall a little further before that happens. But and I'm going to that game, by the way, that season opener. I'm off that night. I don't think you'll be out there this year. But it'd be great.
Is it a week 0 or is it just a week 1?
Yeah, it's week 0.
Very cool. Yeah, that sounds fun, man, and I think you nailed it on the head. So I think as a media person or someone that's looking, you have to be, objective. And yeah, okay, when I'm doing my reporting and you're trying to do something serious, but hey, look, man, Corey Minor, seems like a good guy and wants to get things going in the right direction. What's wrong with rooting for him? That's how I see it. I'm not looking for anybody to fail. And to your point, I mean, is it fair to say Bishop Almont has a trace of blue blood to it? So if things are rocking, high school football's rocking. What's wrong with wanting that? Yes. So, and I've heard you say in spaces, you're critical of the program, but I've heard you say in spaces the term, they know how to circle the wagons, I believe is what you've said.
That was not me.
Oh, okay.
That was somebody else's name. No.
Okay, maybe it was like Fred Robledo or something, but
no, it wasn't him either.
Oh, really? Okay.
No.
Okay. Isn't that the term? No? Is that just wrong? Is that a bad term? I don't even know.
I'm not even sure what circling the wagon means. Like kind of
I
rallying the
thought it meant
troops.
like getting people together. No,
Rallying the troops. Yeah. Okay.
I thought it
Sure.
was. Maybe I'm
Sure.
learning that it's not.
What Bishop Amat was in its heyday was very, very tough local SGV kids that no matter what would happen will hustle and knock your block off hit wise.
Okay.
And then you sprinkle in some talent around them, some D1 top class guys, like a Corey Minor, like a Dalen McCutcheon, like a Rodney Sermons. You sprinkle those in around that tough nucleus that they would have every year. And you would have just this filthy, tough, gritty football team that had this huge fan base that would just go everywhere. And it's better for the game when they're good. But again, St. Paul has closed the gap on them. Damien's pulled the gap away from them.
No, for sure.
So it's going to be tough to get things back on track. It's a competitive thing. You got Charter Oak in the area getting the top skill guys. You got Maxie now at Baldwin Park. Right in your backyard. You got other guys around, Matt V's, that are getting guys. It's tough. It's tough.
Of course, Steve Ramirez, circle the wagons means trying to survive when it looks lost. Think Old West. Okay, I mean.
Because that was the Frontiers people. Their defense against the Indians was circling the wagons.
Okay, so I think my term stays intact. Like when things are starting to look better or on the uptick, right? Trying to survive, trying to move forward. Circle the wagons, dude.
Yeah.
Hey man, you're just like, nah. I did not say that.
No.
That's all right.
We'll talk about who did.
Okay, my bad. My apologies. Yeah, man, I think we got a good season ahead of us, and I think that's also a good time to maybe start winding this thing down. I didn't expect this to go this long today, but look, man, I think a lot of people enjoyed the show. I think we got some good subscribers out of it. Sherm's in here, and people are still sticking around. Chris, thank you for the coaching data. I think it was a good opportunity to talk about some of the coaches here in the Southern section and City section, and I'm keeping an eye on some of these coaches, man. I think some of them are going to do really, really, really well. And 111 coaching changes, that's a lot.
That's insane.
That's a lot. So kudos to Coach 4 for staying on this. And yeah, Aram, I think I'm going to let you go, man. I think night 1 was a success. So I will let you go before I close, but thanks for coming on. We will see you next Friday. We will talk for sure about, yes, CalPreps. Highschoolratings.com is now what it's called. So I'm sorry that it's kept you up at night, sounds like.
Yeah, well, you can just give me your subscriber badge, and that will help. Or Freddie's going to. Someone's going to get in my DMs and get that.
I mean, we should just, I didn't buy the big one. I bought the middle one. There's like a really.
There were tiers.
Yeah, there's 3 tiers. Yeah, there's 3 tiers. There's an unlimited one, then there's the middle one. Rory O'Donoghue, my guy, says 2-hour show. He goes, could go 2 more. Rory, thanks for watching, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, so anyway, there's 3 tiers to the subscription, Aram. I got the middle one, which gives me, I think 20 or 40 page views in a day or something like that. Then there's the unlimited.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the cheapest one I think only gives you 5 page views in a day or something weird like that. 10 maybe? Yeah,
God.
Don't worry about it. Shermer says Amat is more of a blue blood than Bosco.
I don't know if Bosco's done enough in recent years to kind of, pass them.
Yeah, I would argue that they've done so much in recent years that they've kind of earned their blue blood strap. You know what I'm saying?
Amat was like nationally one of the better teams, in the 80s, 90s. Some of their better teams. That's really tough.
That's fair.
But recency bias is on Bosco's side. Bro, before I jet, I just want to reiterate what you said to everybody. This is like our first episode. Well, it's not like, it is. And there'll be another one every week. and we wanted people to get in here because things are eventually going to pop off. There's going to be craziness with the season, and even though there's not much craziness now, I think this was good, Tarek, to get things kind of rolling so people know where to go when the craziness does begin. And it's coming, believe me. We don't know what it will be, but it's coming. So we wanted to just kind of get things established right now, and I think you did a good job of that, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Aram. No,
Yeah.
appreciate
Especially since you're running the 1s and 2s, man. It's not easy.
Yeah, no, I think I set it up pretty good. I think what matters is people are, people can understand us. It looks to be the picture looks good and so on. So I think job well done on the first episode, yourself included, man. So we'll get after it again next Friday, everyone. We're back here at 8 o'clock. I'm going to give a couple final thoughts here, but Aram, I'm going to send you on your way, and we will talk next week, brother. Peace. So there goes Aram. Another show coming Monday night. Every Monday night, 8 o'clock. We'll go at 7:50. You'll see a countdown, and we'll get going at 8 o'clock. A new guest every week. A breakfast burrito review every week. New topics with Aram. And as the season gets going, and there are wins and losses on Friday nights, there will be more to talk about. So that'll play a little music before I get out of here. But thanks for sticking around. Almost went 2 hours. Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks. We got some subscribers. Let me give a quick update here. I'm just kind of curious now. I think I started the show with 130 subscribers, and I'm at 158. So I'm really bad at math. So almost 30 people subscribed just in these last 2 hours. So really appreciate the support, guys. I think as we get going, there will be more layers added to this show. We're gonna have fun, and that's the point of this, guys. So thanks for experiencing the Fattal Factor. Episode 1 in the books. Episode 2 coming next Monday night. And by all means, if you guys have any ideas, hey man, want to get someone on that you think would be good for the show, please let me know. You know where to follow me on Twitter, at Tarek_Fattal, but the Fattal Factor is on and rolling. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Monday night.